at Shell Point. There's where you need to go. There's the circle right through there. All right.
Okay.
Now let's go. You want to go further down the beach? Let's go to Fort Myers Beach.
Let's go to Fort Myers Beach and let's start talking about some of the places of refuge we can go there.
All right. Jim, again, the whole point of this is if you're at home, we want you to not go out if you're at home and you're hunkered down. We're not telling everybody to get in the car and leave. It's the folks, for example, in a trailer that didn't leave yet that are now finding themselves trapped.
That's exactly right. You can see some of the heavier rain bands starting already to arrive at Fort Myers Beach in advance of the storm. As you look up and down Fort Myers Beach, again, a number of high-rises in place. As you go toward Estero Bay, there is a lot of development down toward Estero Bay. The new Hyatt Coconut Point is down there, which would also be a good source of vertical evacuation right now because they're going to have a pretty good storm surge there as well. Our
crew is at the Gullwing Resort, again, several stories up. What we're emphasizing to you is that it's really important now to figure out if you are vulnerable, if you've been in your manufactured home too long, you need to think about getting away from the water. But we're not telling you to leave your home if your home is secure. If you've got your storm shutters up, you've got your supplies ready to go, then you just need to stay put. Stay where you are. Think about maybe some extra protection for yourself should a window breach, should there be some minor roof damage or major roof damage, protecting yourself in your home. That's where we want you to stay.
That's right. And the clock is ticking right now. We are down to probably less than an hour before the inner part of the hurricane arrives on the Lee County coastline, and we can't urge you enough. Now is the time that you need to take whatever protective measures you need to take to protect your family and protect your life.
This is why you can see the eye of Hurricane Charley, now a Category 4 major hurricane with 145-mile-per-hour winds, is getting dangerously close to the Lee Island coast. Now currently from Sanibel Island, the outer band of the most intense winds is now 19.6 miles to the southwest of Sanibel, moving to the northeast at 20 miles per hour. In less than 1 hour, 145-mile-per-hour winds will likely be affecting Sanibel, Fort Myers Beach, Punta Rasa, down toward Estero. Certainly the winds will be very strong. And if you are watching us in Port Charlotte, in Charlotte County, in northern Lee County, Cape Coral, North Fort Myers, that is the eventual track, we believe, of the storm right through this general direction.
Okay, now it's going to be very important to note which side of the storm you're going to be on as to the effects. The right side of the storm is the strongest side of the storm, will have the worst storm surge and the strongest weather. What's ironic is on the left side of the storm, and it's starting to look as though the storm may go under Charlotte Harbor. Charlotte Harbor actually could empty out this afternoon.
Now, we've seen indications of what that means on Fort Myers Beach. I don't know if our live shot's still up from Fort Myers Beach and David Sutta. If there's a picture there, throw it up for us, folks. The beach at Fort Myers is actually 6 times bigger than it normally is. Again, the water being taken out into the Gulf of Mexico at the approach of the storm. The winds are coming offshore, basically like this, all right? And that is why the beaches are becoming apparently bigger, okay? But what will happen is as the storm moves further to the north, then the winds are going to come from the other direction, and that means that will bring the water back. There you can see Fort Myers Beach. Isn't that incredible? Look how far out the wave action is. That's just amazing.
Incredible, and it's going to change dramatically. It's going to change dramatically. I understand we have ABC7 Sean Brown with us on Fort Myers Beach. Sean, what are you seeing right now?
Well, guys, it is actually getting very treacherous out here. In fact, we are about to take shelter in the Gullwing Resort at this point. The winds are just howling. I can't even describe how hard the winds are blowing. Just a few minutes ago, we actually wandered out close to the water, as close as we could get. The wind almost knocked us down, and I weigh close to 200 pounds. That is how hard this wind is blowing out here right now. Let me just step out of the way, and you can get a feel for what the Gulf of Mexico is doing. It is just churning up. We've been talking about storm surge all day, and as we have sat out here over the last hour and a half hour, we have watched the Gulf of Mexico start creeping closer and closer to us, probably gained about 100 yards in just the last hour. Let me also pan over. We are in a good sheltered spot right now, but we're going to pan over and let you see some of the palm trees and just to see the power of the wind that we are experiencing out here. I'd say some of the Gulf gusts we're experiencing are 50, 60, maybe 75, 80 miles an hour at this point, which is one of the reasons we are about to take shelter. But things are very treacherous, which is why, like you have said, people need to start moving up, which is exactly what we're going to do. We showed you our shot earlier from our 5th floor room. That's where we'll be broadcasting from the rest of the day, safely inside and above the storm surge. Guys, back to you.
Okay, again, our message to you now is urgency and safety. We want to talk you through what you need to do in the next 60 minutes to stay safe. And it really is basically now common sense. What you need to do now is find a way to protect your body, your family, and yourself.
Okay,
right?
now let's, we're talking specifically for the people who live on Sanibel, on Captiva, on Pine Island, Cape Coral, most especially South and Southwest Cape Coral, Iona McGregor, Fort Myers Beach, those areas specifically, and even some areas beyond that we'll be addressing very shortly. You need to take protective measures now to protect your life and the life of your loved ones. What we want you to do, blankets, pillows, anything soft, mattresses in the innermost part of your house. Usually that's a bathroom. Gather everybody up, get them in there, and get ready to hunker down. During Hurricane Andrew, that is what saved many people's lives. There was a Category 4 hurricane, went through southern Miami-Dade County, August 24th, 1992, and we had minimal loss of life in an area that was a major metropolitan area because people took and followed these common sense rules, getting all the pillows, blankets, mattresses into the bathroom, in some cases into the tub, over your head, and riding out the storm there.
Right. One of the main problems with Andrew, of course, was the roof situation. A lot of folks lost their roofs. There probably will be some breaches in areas like that. Again, you need to protect yourself with something. Just look around your house, look around at something that you can use to protect sleeping bags, pillows, mattresses, something like that. Now, the important thing also is don't be sitting in the living room watching too much television now. You've got the point. You need to find that place in your house where you can be safe. Take the TV around with you, but get the radio ready to go so you've got your information coming in. But protection is the key now as you hunker down in your house. We do not want you to get in your car and try to get away from this. If you have found yourself in Sanibel, as Jim went through the laundry list, Sanibel, Cape Coral, Fort Myers Beach, the Punta Rasa area, Iona McGregor, Pine Island, certainly Matt Lachey, stay put. Get yourself protected. Okay, and it's quite likely that we may not be able to talk to you beyond the next hour or so. If you have batteries, flashlights, radios that run off of batteries, you should get them handy so that you continue to have a flow of information. It is quite likely Sanibel, Pine Island, Cape Coral, large sections of Lee County are going to lose power in about an hour as this storm comes in. And our experience from storms in the past, it may be a long time before power comes back to many areas. Hurricane Charley is now 16.5 miles to the southwest of Sanibel. You can see my cursor on your screen here. This is the center part of the island, and I'm going out to the leading edge of the eye wall here, 16.9 miles. And as we've been telling you, the worst part of the hurricane is this right facing quadrant here. Jim, why is that the worst part of the hurricane?
Because on the right side, you're not only dealing with the energy and the wind forces of the hurricane, you're also dealing with the forward motion component that has to be added. So you add the forward motion component to the wind on the right side, and you get a stronger wind speed on the right side and a slightly weaker on the left side. Robert, we have some more pictures.
This is a live shot from our Marina at Cape Harbor camera on Cape Coral. This is actually pointed directly to the south and to the west, and it is actually picking up obviously some pretty heavy rains here. Off in the distance, as I showed you, just a little over 20 miles from Cape Coral is the center of Hurricane Charley. Now, we've been watching our First Alert Live WeatherLink sites. Let's go to that if we could and take a look around the area at some WeatherLink sites. We've had wind gusts now up to 48 miles per hour on Fort Myers Beach. That's a jump in the last 20 minutes. Southeasterly winds, Jim, are pretty persistent around here. 44-mile-per-hour gusts on Cape Coral. Captiva, 32-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And again, we can expect these. We're now at tropical storm force winds. We can expect them to continue, right?
Now, this is evidence of how tightly wound this storm is. We have a Category 4 hurricane now less than 50 miles from Naples, Captiva Island, and we haven't seen hurricane force winds yet. But when that storm comes closer, there will be a dramatic and deafening increase in the winds as the storm comes in.
Good point. Indeed, I imagine people probably outside of our area, up in the north, out toward Glades and Hendry, are probably sitting there with very little wind going on and wondering, maybe what all the hoopla is all about.
Glades and Hendry County, and we've had conversations with the emergency managers of both counties, Kenny Howard out in Glades County and Brian Runge in Hendry County, and they're watching from their emergency management facilities right now and sees the turn. Mobile home population is the biggest percentage of the people in the interior counties, and they should be hunkering down because there likely now will be hurricane force wind gusts over the interior.
Let's go over again the increase in storm surge, Jim. Now that the Category 4 storm has been named, labeled, we are now anticipating a stronger storm surge, correct?
Absolutely. It's amazing that we went from 105-mile-an-hour hurricane just about 4 hours ago, now up to 145. At 105 mile an hour, we're talking about a 10 to 12 foot storm surge. At 145 mile an hour, we're talking about an 18-foot or higher storm surge. And our biggest concern, and we were talking about this even before we got into talking about this being a major hurricane, the Punta Rassa area and the funneling effect that the winds contribute to the large storm surge at the mouth of the Caloosahatchee River. That is going to be an incredible event down there. And as we discussed with Craig Wolf a little while ago, if that storm makes landfall on the lower part of Sanibel Island, our big concern is we may lose the Sanibel Causeway.
Absolutely. As the storm continues to approach and the winds are coming offshore in a southeasterly direction, you're going to notice them really just explode. I would say within the next 30 minutes, we're going to see wind gusts over 50, 60 miles per hour on Fort Myers Beach. Let's go ahead and take a look at what was the image that we're looking at?
Outside.
Oh, we have a live camera right outside our studios here at NBC2. All right. And we are looking at 48 mile per hour wind gusts here at the TV station. Sustained winds looks to me like about 30 miles per hour, so Jim, 25, 30?
It's getting fairly strong, to be sure.
One of the things we've also showed you in the last couple of hours, the beaches appear to be getting bigger on the Lee Island coast as this offshore wind continues at the approach of the storm. But don't let that fool you. After an hour or so from now, when the storm begins to pass, the winds are coming out of the different direction, and we're going to see the winds push the water back onshore. Jim, well, one other question I had, and I think I've got the answer as well. The eye is going to be visible to some folks as it moves across, right?
There's no question about it. The thing though, we want to talk about the storm surge, and this is very, very important. You folks who live on Sanibel, Fort Myers Beach, the lower end of the Caloosahatchee Basin, if you have not yet started to see a little rise in the water, you will be very shortly.
Right.
Now, once the storm makes landfall, you will see a incredibly fast rise in the water. For example, the first 5 feet of an 18-foot storm surge may take 1/2 to 3/4 of an hour. The rest of it, the other 13 feet, may come in 5 minutes.
Let's thank you, Jim. Let's go over to the news desk now with some evacuation information, and Sharon Gregory.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. ABC 7's Nicole Ensalada is up in Charlotte County right now. She joins us over the phone. And Nicole, I understand that they're having some problems with some last-minute evacuations. Is that correct?
Yeah, Sharon, we are in Cape Coral. We're at Diplomat Middle School. And when we pulled in, we were part of a long line of cars. They're redirecting people to Cape Coral High School. They are saying that they are at capacity here, but we are watching some people still come in with coolers, with pillows, some elderly folks. Folks with children, and there are some other folks who I can see are clearly looking for loved ones, trying to figure out where they might be. Let me see if I can speak to somebody real quickly. Ma'am, I'm with ABC 7.
Yeah.
Who are you? Are you looking for someone?
Yeah, my daughter and her kids. They're supposed to be here right away, and she's not. And I can't remember her cell phone number.
Did you know that she was going to be coming here? Was that
I told her, I said, she'll get here right now. And she said, okay, she's coming. She's got 5 kids, and it's an Escalade.
Did you all decide? Did she decide perhaps just in the last while to come?
Well, after I came, I called her after we found out it was a 4. You know, she said she'd come right away. Is that an Escalade? Can you tell?
It might be.
Can you tell, is that an escalator? Is that it?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So, Sharon, as you can tell, people are under a lot of stress here right now. Some people are just walking in pretty calmly, and other people are, as you can see clearly, trying to figure out exactly where to go from here. But again, they are redirecting people to Cape Coral High School from Diplomat Middle School. Sharon?
And also, Nicole, have you heard of any other shelters in the area where they can go? We know that we reported earlier that Diplomat Middle School had been filling up.
Right, and apparently, yeah, no, that's okay. Apparently, that is something that I guess a lot of people are still not sure about. It sounds like a lot of people are just only now deciding that this is what they need to do. It seems like the escalation of the storm just recently has changed a lot of minds, and that's probably maybe what we're seeing here.
Yeah, we are obviously going to see some people at the last minute realize, especially since in just the last few minutes, Nicole, we've reported that this has become a Category 4 storm.
Right.
A lot of people thought we're going to ride this out in our homes, and now, of course, they realize the winds are so high, they do need to seek shelter. Of course, we're keeping you informed here on NBC2, ABC 7. We've got ticker information running at the bottom of your screen that has all of the shelter information you need. And as Nicole has been reporting, you know, Diplomat Middle School filled up. They're redirecting Nicole again to Cape Coral High School. Is that correct? Okay, apparently we lost Nicole, but what we can tell you is that, again, there are in excess of 25 shelters open in our area to take people in, but of course you want to make sure that you're careful about some of the ones that are already overfilling. We do have a ticker again at the bottom of your screen telling you where the shelters are. Now we're taking a look at the storm, and we want to go back to Jim Reef and Robert Van Winkle, guys.
Again, tracking the storm real time on Doppler radar. Let's get to it. You can see the eye of Hurricane Charley now approaching Sanibel. The first big wave of rain. We showed you that on our Cape Harbor camera there from Cape Coral. You saw that. Looks like a little low, and then here comes the punch.
Yes, absolutely. And now there is little question to argue here. This storm will be hitting Sanibel Island perhaps in the next half hour to 45 minutes.
All right. We are urging folks to take some common sense measures right now to protect yourself. By that we mean you need to just figure out how to protect your body. There's going to be a lot of flying debris.
Yes.
There'll be some broken windows, obviously,
yes.
Trees flying around. Stay indoors and protect your body.
That's no question. What's going to happen, as much as we like to think that our homes are built very strongly, unless you have shutters and strong certified shutters, the window glass in your home is not going to stand up to 145-mile-an-hour winds. What happened in Hurricane Andrew so many times, debris flying in the wind broke the windows. The wind forces also broke the windows. Winds got inside the house. The roof went off the house. That's why you need to be in the most inner part of your house, the one without windows, away from glass, away from exterior walls, battening down with the pillows, the blankets, the mattresses over top of your head, and getting ready to do it. And you need to do that right now. Sanibel Island, Pine Island, Cape Coral, Fort Myers Beach. You're down to the last 30 or 40 minutes before this Category 4 hurricane hits.
That's right, Jim. We'd also like to give a heads up and a warning now to Glades County residents. There's a mandatory evacuation ordered for Glades County residents in manufactured homes and in any low-lying area of Glades County. Effective immediately in Glades County, manufactured home residents and areas living in people living in low-lying areas are required to leave and seek shelter. Maple Grove Baptist Church, the Muse Community Building, the Ritchie Building, the Health Department in Moorhaven, and Buckhead Ridge Community Building are all open as shelters. Again, in Glades County, mandatory evacuations now. Giving you a heads up in Glades. Let me move the radar over just a little bit so we can see Glades County. Our biggest concern, though, right now, of course, remains Sanibel and Cape Coral, Jim. There's 100,000 plus people on Cape Coral.
And we are especially concerned about the folks who live in South Cape Coral, especially south of Cape Coral Parkway, the 8 Lakes area, down in that area, Skyline, Chiquita, beautiful area of southwest Cape Coral, but in the line of fire from this hurricane. And the storm surge will be coming in from the Gulf of Mexico up the river, and there will be inundation. This is going to be an 18-foot storm surge that occurs at the mouth of the Caloosahatchee River, and that is going to cause very, very serious problems on the south end of the Cape. Of course, it's going to do that on Sanibel. St. James City is going to go underwater because they are the very low-lying area. They are a center of mobile home population. population. Fort Myers Beach likely will be inundated as well, and that storm surge will go up the Caloosahatchee River, eventually probably to downtown Fort Myers.
Let's take a look now at our radar imagery that I'm going to zoom in a little bit and give you folks upstream some heads up in what we're talking about. We are talking to Bayshore, we're talking to Fort Myers, we're talking to north parts of Cape Coral. Right in through here, you need to take cover immediately. The storm is likely going to go in at Sanibel, somewhere Sanibel over Pine Island and southeast Cape Coral. I will draw a line here of our best guess moving up in this direction. So residents in through here in the Bayshore community, please do not hesitate, do not delay, do not wait for the winds to start blowing. This is going to happen very, very quickly. You're going to be amazed at how quickly all this will occur once the eye wall moves on from the Sanibel vicinity and heads toward North Fort Myers. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more. Between 41 and 75, everybody in this area, you need to take cover right now, get in your home and stay there and get some things to protect yourself and move to an interior wall space in your home.
That's right. It's too late to have done any other to make any other precautions. It is now time to protect yourself. Don't worry about boarding up. Don't worry about looking for flashlights and batteries right now. Time to get in that innermost room and hunker down for the storm, which is almost there.
Let's go to the Emergency Operations Center in Lee County and Heather Turco. Lee? Heather?
Robert, thank you. Just to give you an update of what's going on, we understand that Lee EMS is now pulling out some of their resources, pulling back actually, obviously, Sanibel, areas of concern like that, police as well. We want to let you know that it's something that they consider, and they're going ahead and starting to pull their resources back in those areas. Also, when it comes to Sanibel, obviously we've heard the Sanibel Causeway is shut down. A couple hundred people are reportedly riding it out, so that's how many people we're dealing with on the island of Sanibel. We understand, too, the damage assessment team for Sanibel is currently getting together at the Bell Tower, and evidently they're just talking about plans for after the storm and what's going to happen when they can actually get back out on the island. So a lot of preparation now. We're going to be just hearing when we have the power outages come in, of course, flooding. We're expecting reports of that as well. We're hearing, too, the phone service is okay right now. Sprint saying that they're not having any problems right now. But we're going to go ahead and send it back to the studio. Oh, one quick thing. Between 3:45 and 4 o'clock, it's no longer safe to go to the shelter. You want to go to the shelter? Go now. 3:45, 4 o'clock, no longer safe. Stay home. Back to you.
The urgency of the situation continues to grow. Thank you, Heather Turco. Jim Reef, we want to talk about Charlotte County right now. I've got the radar up. Let's go to that. You can see the eye of Charley now making progress just about 16 miles southwest of Sanibel. What do you anticipate will happen if this storm, let me draw our anticipated track in here first. Give me a minute. If the storm stays to the south of Charlotte Harbor, moves in this direction, what's going to happen up here in Punta Gorda, Charlotte Harbor, Jim?
Every place to the left of the storm track will experience a negative storm surge. You're going to have that 18-foot storm surge driven by the 145-mile-an-hour winds to the right of the track. That's Punta Rassa. That's the lower end of Sanibel Island. To the left of the track, the winds are going to be blowing ferociously from the other direction. It's going to be emptying water out of Charlotte Harbor. It's going to be pushing the Gulf of Mexico away from Captiva, from Upper Captiva, from Cayo Costa, from Boca Grande, and it would be an amazing sight if you weren't hunkered down inside your house and protecting yourself in Charlotte County. Once the storm goes by and moves north, a beam of you, the winds will turn around, the water will return, and then you'll get your storm surge Charlotte County, though it will not be 18 foot up in Charlotte County.
So we're talking a situation like this with the storm moving south of Charlotte Harbor. In the next hour, you folks in Punta Gorda will see the winds increase out of the southeast in this fashion, and then as the storm passes, the winds will begin to come from the other direction. We may actually even see water empty out of Charlotte Harbor and then come flowing back in with a storm surge, with flooding highly likely in Punta Gorda, downtown, Murdoch, El Jabin, on the Cape Hayes Peninsula, maybe even as far inland as Rotunda. All right, I do believe we have some new information on some evacuations.
Okay,
Jim?
Robert, we just got an urgent request from our friend Wayne Saladay in Charlotte County, his emergency management office. He's very strongly urging residents of Charlotte County, do not evacuate at this point. The danger is too great. Stay where you are. Hunker down as best you can. Again, the residents of Charlotte County, Punta Gorda, Port Charlotte, Charlotte, all around Charlotte Harbor, stay where you are. That's what Wayne says.
All right. Again, this is a serious situation. We are now hearing about evacuations inland. Glades County has had a mandatory evacuation of mobile home residents, manufacturing residents, and now in DeSoto County, that mandatory evacuation is also in place. What you're seeing is anticipation of the storm track and the potential for the damage to move inland after Charley comes ashore.
And a lot of folks think that once a hurricane hits, it immediately loses its energy. This one is moving inland at 20 and
Radar,
22
please.
miles an hour. This storm is going to be able to keep its hurricane force winds for a ways inland. Hurricane force winds are going to affect Hendry County. They are going to affect Glades County. They're going to affect Highlands, ultimately Okeechobee County, and to some degree DeSoto County as well. Every place to the right of the storm track, that's the strong side of the storm.
Talk to me about the meteorology of the eye of the storm here, Jim. We can clearly see what's happening. What does this return here on the northern part mean?
That is the eye wall. That is the strongest part of the hurricane as it is now getting dangerously close to Sanibel and Captiva Island at the present time. The highest winds of the entire storm, without question, are in that dark red shaded area, and latest reports from a Hurricane Hunter plane clock those winds at 145 miles an hour. This storm of historic proportions will be making the record books. This is now the strongest storm of the century to hit southwest Florida, stronger than Hurricane Donna, and coming up a beam on the strength of Hurricane Andrew when it hit the Miami-Dade County area August 24th, 1992.
I'm going around to some of the NEXRAD imagery here to see the severity of the storms, and it's just going crazy. Obviously, every one of these is showing some wind shear.
Yes.
Tornado. We can anticipate numerous tornadoes around the edge of this storm, and all of this, as you see when I put my clicker on it, just show all of this is severe weather, severe storms, one after the other.
Okay, I don't know at this point whether what access we have to any live pictures, if we have any left at Fort Myers Beach, whether we have any pictures from outside. Let's see what pictures we can show right now. If the folks are in our control room can pop us up. That's the Southwest Florida International Airport, Robert.
Do the fan.
Where that's out of the line of fire of the worst of the storm. This is out our back door here at our ABC7 NBC2 studios on Central Avenue in central Fort Myers. And we have another picture we can show you right now of Charlotte County. This looks like it's very on the Peace River right now as we're looking toward looks like the US 41 bridge. Again, you don't see very much of a water agitation there, and we may just see the water be going down in Charlotte Harbor over the next hour or so as that storm is coming in. From time to time, we'll ask our control room to make the rounds to all these different visual places as this storm is coming in, so we can see for ourselves what's going on as the eye now is approaching Sanibel Island. Robert, the distance?
Hang on one second.
Okay.
We're going to get it. The distance was 16 miles at last check. Obviously going to be a little less than that right now.
Okay. ABC has a storm track to St. James City. ABC.
Could we take the ABC storm tracker? Could we take the ABC radar source, please? Might be able to see a little different view there.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. There we go. The storm moving on that track, and there it is, the worst case scenario, an impact on Sanibel Island, the right side of the storm impacting Punta Rassa, the mouth of the Caloosahatchee River, the north end of Fort Myers Beach, Pine Island, the south end of Cape Coral will be feeling the full force and fury of the storm within the next half hour.
So 30 minutes to Pine Island, Sanibel, another 30 minutes after that, well into the Cape Coral area, and then just translating it up through North Fort Myers, Bayshore, and then up toward Glades County, and of course, not to forget southern Charlotte County as well. Now again, storm surge is one of our biggest concerns. Here you see a live shot. Now this is getting very interesting. This is Fort Myers Beach from the Gullwing Resort. We have David Sutter there and his crew looking out toward the beach. Jim, obviously still a lot of sand there. We still have this negative effect here on the surge.
Yeah, I'd like to go back to that Fort Myers Beach picture. That's the close to.
This is Fort Myers Beach.
Let's stay with that Fort Myers Beach picture as best we can, because that's the closest live camera we have to this storm at the present time. As the storm storm is now probably just about 20 miles from Fort Myers Beach. Those pictures coming from the Gold Wing Resort.
Yeah, let's take the automated weather system here, our AWS sites. We've got the Gold Wing Resort listed right there in Fort Myers Beach on top of your screen. If we can get AWS up, right now we've got southeast winds running at 10 miles per hour with gusting to 17 miles per hour, gusting to 51. We've had a 51 mile per hour wind gust on Fort Myers Beach. The Cape has had a 44 mile per hour wind gust, and at Captiva, a 32 mile per hour wind gust. And Jim, interestingly enough, we're talking about a storm with 145 mile per hour winds. They're obviously packed very tightly around the center of this storm.
You're absolutely right. That storm is less than 20 miles from Fort Myers Beach, and
yes.
the winds are just 51 miles an hour. So it's a testament to the kind of power that this storm has. Some incredible pictures. Now, before we may very well be able to see this storm surge as it starts to erode what beaches out there right now. Again, the winds are still offshore, and I think you can see, Robert, the palm trees still blowing offshore.
With the southeast wind, yep. Let's take a look again at the ABC radar with the storm tracking on it. It's now about 2:30 in the afternoon, August 13th. We can see the storm is tracking towards Sanibel, Captiva, St. James City, with the times, estimated arrival times there in the upper left corner of your screen. Lots of heavy rain associated with this storm. Of course, the big story now, the Category 4 storm and the 145 mile per hour winds wrapped tightly around the center. Look, Jim, as the sweep's coming through there, you can actually see the forward progress.
Yes, absolutely. Again, hurricane force winds will be felt in the outer bands as these squalls come in. But let's go back to that Fort Myers Beach picture if we can right now. The storm getting closer. This is we're getting closer to the inner bands of Category 4 Hurricane Charley. Those winds are picking up. I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to
control room, stay with that shot as much as you can and pop over to AWS every once in a while. We'll check in on the winds. Right now we've got a wind gust on Fort Myers Beach of 60 miles per hour. 60 mile per hour wind gust there on the top of your screen, Fort Myers Beach Gold Wing Resort. Let's go back to the live shot there. 40 mile per hour sustained winds on the beach right now. Jim, just in the last 20 minutes, that's the increase that we've seen there.
That's right. As you said, it's a testimony to how tightly wound this system is and how small the ferocious winds near the eye are. The good news is that a very small area will have to deal with the 145 mile an hour winds. As you go down to Fort Myers Beach, as you go down to Estero, as you go to Naples, as you go up into Charlotte County, you're not going to have nearly the kind of wind forces that you're seeing right now coming in towards Sanibel, Pine Island, and Cape Coral.
Right. This is important to know also, though, that when the storm does move up in toward our inland areas, it will drop off, but we're not talking about an immediate cutoff. We're still talking major winds right on up through into North Fort Myers and beyond.
Yes, absolutely correct. Now, something maybe we need to mention before some areas start losing some power and we lose our ability to talk to some of you folks. Our broadcasting towers at the NBC2 WBBH are located in Charlotte County up on State Road 31. If we were to lose power there or lose the transmitting capabilities there, our facility in Bonita Springs, the ABC7 transmitter, is up, active, and running. So if you lose your picture on NBC2 WBBH, go on over to Channel 7.
We have reports from our Fort Myers Beach crew of explosions they've been hearing in the area. I would imagine that alarms, they say alarms are going off now. Again, this is an indication of the disruption of power, I would imagine. I know when transformers blow, they make a heck of a noise, and we could be getting reports of that happening. Our crew in Fort Myers Beach, they're giving you live pictures now with 60 mile per hour wind gusts and sustained winds at tropical storm force. The center of Hurricane Charley, with the worst Category 4 winds of over 140 miles per hour, is now located, I'm going to give you an exact coordinate now, from Fort Myers Beach to the outer band of the storm. It's only 14.2 miles from Fort Myers Beach. That's where the main brunt of the storm is. Let me let you, if you would, take a quick look at the radar one more time. I'll show you the loop. We've been looking at pictures from Fort Myers Beach, and here you can see the track of the storm.
We also, Robert, have some information coming in from our Viper system that we're operating, some satellite and radar information that, if we can pop that up on the screen right now, gives us another perspective of this storm now nearing Sanibel, Captiva, Pine Island, Fort Myers Myers Beach and Cape Coral at the present time. By the way, we're also seeing lightning strikes. Those are the crosshairs that you see. That's lightning. That's the least of our problems with the storm coming in from the Gulf. There we go. More pictures from Fort Myers Beach. You're looking live just outside the inner core of Hurricane Charley as it is arriving on the Lee County coastline. Just some incredible pictures. Again, the core of the hurricane, only about the core of the strong winds, likely about 15 miles across. It looks as though the central and lower portion of Fort Myers Beach will escape the power of the storm, but it is going to be a head-on hit for the lower half of Sanibel Island. It is going to be a serious problem on the Sanibel Causeway. Cape Coral, the south end of Cape Coral, south of Cape Coral Parkway, Pine Island, and very low-lying St. James City going to have a serious problem.
We are, of course, hearing from our crew in the field there at Fort Myers Beach that alarms are going off, power is going out in places, and again, some loud noises and booms in the area. Lee County Emergency Management has said if you're going to a shelter, you need to be there by 3:30, but we are telling you it's almost too late for that as this storm continues to move in. We want you to hunker down and stay put. The eye of the storm now just under 15 miles from Sanibel Island. The eye wall that you see there, Jim, packing 140-mile-per-hour winds is a Category 4 storm. Unprecedented, unheard of in this area that we know of.
We have always speculated worst-case scenarios with major hurricanes, and no one could envision anything stronger than a Category 4 hitting Lee County just to the left of the Sanibel Causeway. So we are talking about our worst-case scenario, and we're seeing it this August 13th, 2004, just before 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Let's get the control room to switch back over. I just want to show a lapse of the imagery from our radar here on the NBC side so you can see the progress here. You see Captiva and Sanibel in the top center of your screen, Fort Myers Beach. Big rain squall going through there now, and now the eye of the storm very close indeed to Sanibel. Here's my cursor in the middle, center of Sanibel, center of the storm now is 15.9 miles. Jim, it also seems to be on a dead-on course northeast. I do think it looks like we're talking this part of Sanibel and Captiva for the direct hit, correct?
Okay, time is up, Sanibel and Captiva. Time to turn the TV off, turn everything off, get into your safe room right now and hunker down. It's time to go. It's time to get inside. It's time to get in that bathroom. It's time to pull the mattresses and the pillows and the blankets over your head and get ready to hunker down. This will be about a half-hour blow before it comes and goes. Pine Island, you should be doing the same thing as well. South Cape Coral, Southwest Cape Coral, you're next on the list as this thing now is racing to the northeast at 20 miles an hour. A dangerous Category 4 hurricane, 145-mile-an-hour winds.
I'm tracking this from Bowman's Beach. Bowman's Beach is right here to the edge of the main part of the storm at 2.4 miles. That's about 10-15 minutes. Residents around Bowman's Beach, as Jim mentioned, all of Sanibel, Captiva, turn off the TV, get into the bathroom, get into the interior part of your house, make sure that you have protection for your body, mattresses, pillows, blankets, whatever you need. A lot of folks during Andrew had their kids sort of underneath them as they were on top of them, and then you have your protection on top of you there. That's a good way to protect your family by layers. We have some new information. Oh, now we also have new information now that the telephone service has been cut off to Marco Island. We are not ignoring Collier County by any means. This storm is affecting Collier as well. We are showing you where the imminent landfall is of the storm, but now we know, have information that the phone service has been cut off to Marco Island.
As we were talking earlier today, once the storm passes a beam of your location and moves to the north, actually that's the strongest part for your wind and storm surge. So that's already happening in Marco Island right now.
Right.
Next up is going to be the beachfront in Naples, and from there we go on up the line to Bonita Beach.
Right. Let me just zoom out real quickly and show you what we're talking about here with that radar imagery on a larger view. Here's Marco, here's Naples. The southeast winds have passed. The eye of the storm is now north of Naples and Marco, and now we're going to see a return, as Jim said, back from the south and to the west. This is going to be the bad part, folks. This is going to bring the tide back in. I'm sure the beaches went down a little bit around Naples as well. Now the storm Island surge is going to be coming back right here along this part of our coast. Again, when the eye of the storm passes to your north, that's when the winds will shift back around, and that's when the water comes back into play.
Absolutely. It looks as though right now the middle part of Sanibel Island, the mid-island, is going to take the direct hit, and the eye will come ashore the middle of the island of Sanibel. And beyond that, it looks like it's going to go right over top of Pine Island. It's going to go over St. James City. Looks like it's going to impact Matlacha as well. And from there, on the right side of the storm, Cape Coral is next on the list with this ferocious storm surge. We can't emphasize enough the power of 145-mile-an-hour winds on the right side of the storm and what that's going to do as a storm surge at this very hour on Sanibel, the Punta Rassa area, the mouth of the Caloosahatchee River, Pine Island, and Cape Coral.
Let's take a look at the ABC weather radar right now with the storm tracking. Again, a beeline right over Sanibel toward Cape Coral now. If you're in Cape Coral and you haven't taken shelter yet, do it right now. You need to get under cover in Cape Coral right now and take shelter to protect yourself. The storm will be in your vicinity in the next 30 minutes or so.
Okay. Okay, as we continue to watch this as well, we're starting to make our own evacuation plans here in our facility, and we may be moving to a different studio before too much longer, I understand, because it's we need to get ourselves to a safe portion of the building.
All right. Again, looking at the radar, if we'll go back over to the NBC radar, we can show you there's Fort Myers Beach. Winds, we are still gusting over 60 miles per hour on Fort Myers Beach with sustained winds at 29 to 49 miles per hour, tropical storm force winds. You see in the distance there vaguely the beach is still very wide, indicating the southeast winds are still pushing the water away from shore. The eye of the storm just about parallel right now with Fort Myers Beach approaching Sanibel. Once the eye moves to the north, the winds are going to come back around in the other direction. The water comes rushing back in. Fort Myers Beach residents, take cover immediately if you haven't already done it. Turn off the TV, get yourself into a safe place.
And of course, it goes without saying that we are within a few minutes of large sections of Lee County losing power and telephone service that may be some time before being restored. We understand, of course, Marco Island has already lost phone service, and there will be disruption of services probably for weeks to come as this storm does what we fear is going to happen.
All right, let me zoom in again toward the eye, and we'll give you another track now on the distance from the storm center to Sanibel. Zooming in now, I'm going to give you the coordinates or the distance here. Bowman's Beach right here where my cursor is, now just 2 miles from Bowman's Beach, the leading edge about 3 miles away, where we anticipate and expect 140-mile-per-hour winds or greater. This is the eye of the storm. Now, this looks like it's going to go right over Jim Blind's Pass, right?
Blind Pass. Now, ironically, Blind Pass was cut by Hurricane Donna back in 1960. Let's go to Fort Myers Beach. We keep seeing more and more pictures. Our producer keeps reminding us to go back to show us these pictures right now. The Gull Wing Resort on Fort Myers Beach, Estero Island, is probably about 1/2 to 3/4 of a mile down the beach from the Sky Bridge, if you're familiar with Fort Myers Beach. Again, we're seeing on the first alert weather link wind gusts at the resort of 61 miles an hour with sustained 35, which is absolutely incredible. There goes a 47-mile-an-hour sustained wind at Fort Myers Beach right now.
The storm is 14.3 miles from Fort Myers Beach, Jim, and you can clearly see the power, even 14 miles away, of a storm. Imagine what it's doing on Bowman's Beach right now. It's only 3 miles from Bowman's Beach on Sanibel.
Absolutely incredible. We can't.
Let's go back to that live shot if we have it.
Yeah, we can't emphasize this enough. How tiny this storm is. 10 miles, 15 miles across the core of this powerful hurricane, the destructive power of the storm with 145-mile-an-hour winds. We're seeing 10, 12 miles away from the center on Fort Myers Beach, where the winds are gusting to 64 miles an hour, half as strong as what's happening on Sanibel Island right now.
Right, incredible power. Again, residents on Estero Island, Fort Myers Beach, We might have just lost the signal there. We urge you to take cover immediately. This is the time, Sanibel and inland now. Let's go over the locations so you can see from our storm tracking here, Captiva, St. James City, Flamingo Bay, and Cape Coral. Jim, 100,000 people on Cape Coral now. What should they be doing?
They should be hunkering down. Now is the time for Cape Coral to take whatever protective measures are necessary. Okay, we have a view from Captiva, I understand. Okay, Scott, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, Scott, this is Jim Reef at ABC 7. Tell us what you see right now.
Trees pretty well bent over, several small branches. We've lost one large tree here and several smaller branches. Everything's pretty well getting stripped by the leaves stripped off of them, and we've got waves rolling over the dock.
Okay, you're on the sound side of Captiva Island?
Actually, I'm in the Tween Waters area, so I can see both.
Both sides. Hey, Jim, this is Robert Van Winkle at NBC2. Did the wind come up relatively quickly? Was it like a real shot in the arm there?
Oh yeah, I think it was about 1:30, 1:40, or 12:40, whatever it was that. The power went out, and within 2 or 3 minutes the wind started to pick up, and it's been building steadily since, and it's all scenes that I'm very familiar with. I've been through this several times.
From what we're seeing on our radar now, the eye of the storm is literally just about. I'm gonna get it here. It's only about 15 miles to the south of you. So within the next hour, you're likely going to see the eye of this storm go right over top of you.
Yeah, that's what I was. That's what I'm seeing.
What have you done to prepare yourself? What are you doing to stay safe? Are you protected?
Yeah, I'm in a very well-built house. It would be on the equivalent of a storm shelter. If the roof were to blow off and the waves were to roll through the ground floor, I would still have several areas of shelter inside of this house.
This is Jim Reef again. How many people do you understand are with you or nearby or on Captiva Island? Do you have any information about that?
Yeah. Almost everybody I know is left, including my family, and I was pretty excited. I thought this morning it was going to miss us. Not that I'm glad anybody's going to get it, but if it's going to happen, I'm glad to have a front row seat of it.
Are you? Okay. Well, that's interesting. So back to Jim Reef's question again. Have you seen any other up until this point? Were you out and about? What was going on?
I timed it pretty well. Like I said, I have been through this before. Rather large non-structural piece of our house just blew off. We have some large aluminum trim pieces. That's probably a 300, 400, 500-pound piece just blew off and landed on a lower deck right in front of me.
Okay. Stay with us, Alan Captiva. We're starting to notice a new trend here on the power Doppler radar. What was aiming for the east end of Sanibel now seems to be curving back a little bit toward the north at the last minute, aiming more for Captiva Island. And this last minute turn toward the north is now starting to put Charlotte County in jeopardy.
Jim, that's right. You can see clearly that the storm appears to be at the very last minute here, 3 to 4 miles offshore, taking more of a northerly turn there, brushing what might appear to be right off to Captiva's west, bearing down, Jim, it looks like up toward Gasparilla, right?
Absolutely. If we can take the ABC 7 Doppler radar right now for another perspective of what's going on. We have the storm tracker on there, and the way it's moving right now, it looks like it may have sidestepped portions of Sanibel Island.
That's interesting. That's a very recent development right there.
Now shifting a little bit more toward the northeast, and it looks as though it may be taking aim over toward the north end of Pine Island, and from there it would go up. Conceivably, we're watching this over the next few minutes, could go up Charlotte Harbor and right by Burnt Store Marina, and from there perhaps toward urban areas. We'll have to watch.
Tornado warning, DeSoto.
We have reports now of a tornado warning in DeSoto County. Again, a reminder, the bands of rain stretching out from the center of this storm will be producing strong winds and tornadoes throughout the afternoon. Take cover in DeSoto County. A tornado warning is posted. But, Jim, what I was going to say was a couple of weeks ago I was out on Bakelia and I took a boat out to Usepa Island in the Cayo Costa area. Beautiful little places there, but boy, right on the water, right on sea level.
Robert, let's see if we can play back a little time lapse on these various radars that we're looking at here, so we can get a little better handle on where the eye of this storm is headed at the present time. We're able to use two displays. Fortunately, the advantage of having two television stations in one building means we have two different display systems that we can access at a moment's notice.
Okay, I've got NBC ready.
Okay, if we go back to the NBC display system for the Doppler radar, and we'll put that into motion, and notice the obvious change in track now at the last minute.
Wow.
It curves away from a northeasterly track, now turning toward the north. Now, what this is going to mean is the northern islands, Captiva, Upper Captiva, Cayo Costa, Gasparilla Island, Boca Grande, and perhaps looking ahead up toward the Cape Hayes Peninsula could be getting ready to feel that impact. As we pull back for a larger perspective of things, there's the storm. I'd hate to think that this thing wants to take the scenic tour of our coastline.
Boy, that's really amazing. This is just a development in the last 30 minutes. So this was bearing down on Sanibel about 15, 20 minutes ago, and now in the last few minutes taking an obvious turn more to the north.
We are getting a lesson firsthand in tropical meteorology all around Southwest Florida, as now this storm has changed course at the very last minute, is not going ashore yet, is sidestepping Sanibel, and we have live pictures, I understand, from Charlotte Harbor. And
up there.
It looks like it's raining there right now. The harbor looks calm, but I can see some swells on the harbor a little bit as the wind seems to be picking up, and that looks like the vantage point right fairly close to the Memorial Auditorium, where you and I were just not too many weeks ago during a hurricane seminar. I remember
it well. Yes, you're looking at the Peace River entering there into Charlotte Harbor, the two bridges over the river. Jim, it doesn't look certainly all that windy and all that bad, but as we just heard from the viewer that called in from Captiva, he said the wind came up like a shot, and that's what we're going to see through here. If this, I'm just so amazed at this turn to the north. This is amazing.
That's right. Let's
just go back to the DeSoto, and the warning until 3:15. And a Doppler indicated.
DeSoto County residents need to take shelter immediately for a possible tornado indicated on Doppler radar. I'm going to zoom out a little bit and show you that. It's this cell right through here into DeSoto County. This has indications from Doppler radar of producing a tornado. Ryan, it looks like it's near Arcadia, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Arcadia by 3 was the estimate.
This is going to be moving in a northwesterly direction, and residents in Arcadia seek shelter immediately. Doppler indicated tornado in that area for you folks.
Okay, let's keep watching this new turn of events now on the Doppler radar. Like we said, we're staring open mouth along with everyone else here in Southwest Florida, watching this thing wobble away from Sanibel and now looking like it's going to parallel Captiva Island. It is absolutely incredible what's going on here.
That's really amazing. Certainly not time to breathe the sigh of relief, because we've got a lot of winds wrapping around the bottom of this storm, as we've been telling you all morning and all afternoon. The worst part for storm surge will likely be as the storm moves up to the north. So Fort Myers Beach, Bonita, you're going to start seeing in the next hour the water begin to return back toward the beaches, and that's when the storm surge is going to get the worst. But what we're really amazed at right now is this apparent turn off again to the north. The storm was headed north a couple of hours ago. It made a turn toward the Lee Island coast in the northeast. Now, Jim, in the last few minutes, it is definitely looking like we are seeing seen this take another turn. You know, all morning long we've been sort of just showing you as we see it what's going on. The Hurricane Center had a track for us, and for an hour or so we kept saying, well, they're saying this, but here's what we're showing you. We can see it, and now we're doing it again. This storm is changing its mind.
Okay, now let's not have a misunderstanding here. This turn in the course
is absolutely right.
Has not lessened the impact of the storm surge that is occurring right now on Sanibel Island and along the Punarasa and the mouth of the Caloosahatchee River. That storm surge is taking place right now. There's a storm surge ongoing inland from Captiva Island on the Pine Island Sound side of the Barrier Islands at the present time.
Correct.
Okay. Robert,
okay.
Tell them about this latest turn of events.
We've been preaching to you about safety, and we're practicing it here at NBC2 and ABC7. Our studio has now become our shelter. Here you see our crew in the ABC7 studio watching our broadcast, as well as you folks are at home seeking shelter inside a substantial building, a structure where they can be safe. Outside of the building, the winds are howling, the trees are whipping around. There you see our array of satellite dishes that we're using to bring you this broadcast. Limbs have been reported down all over Fort Myers area as the winds have been gusting up to 50 miles per hour here at the TV station. Again, we've evacuated our own newsroom to a more safe shelter. As we've been trying to tell you in the last half hour, 45 minutes, that's what you need to do. The time is now to do that. Coastal residents, Sanibel, Captiva, up to now the Cape Hayes Peninsula, Jim. We're talking Rotunda, Inglewood. You folks now, this is it. Don't wait. Get yourself into shelter and stay there.
Yes. Okay, we have pictures back from Fort Myers Beach. If we can take some of those pictures right now and see what's going on at Fort Myers Beach. Okay.
Again, and don't. Jim just said this earlier. We were talking about an apparent turn in the storm. The storm surge is still a real problem. It will be continuing to rise across the area as the storm moves to the north. The winds will be coming back around in the other direction, and the water will return onto the beaches and rise right on up the Caloosahatchee, up toward Matlacha, and then right on up toward the Peace River and the Myakka and Charlotte Harbor. We are expecting some very serious storm surge as this hurricane moves to the north and turns the winds in the other direction.
It's now a strong southerly component that's causing the storm surge right now inland of Sanibel and Captiva, going through Pine Island Sound and soon to be backing into Charlotte Harbor. Pictures from Fort Myers Beach right now as the storm is actually moving away from Fort Myers Beach, but now the winds are starting to turn on the underside of the storm, and that's what we're seeing on Fort Myers Beach right now.
If we're lucky enough to keep this shot for our broadcast, you notice the trees are obviously blowing toward the Gulf of Mexico. Soon we'll be able to see the trees move back toward the inland areas, and that will indicate our change in wind direction. As we were showing you earlier, the beach has actually become much larger in Fort Myers Beach as the waters retreated into the Gulf, and soon it will be coming back on shore in earnest. We have some Viper imagery we'd like to show you. We've been able to bring you an upgraded service now showing you the track of the storm. The pink dot indicates the direction that the storm has taken in the last few minutes. You see on the very bottom of your screen one pink dot and now a dot in the other one. Jim, it does appear to be moving slowly back over toward the north again.
It's almost as if the storm bounced off the coastline and just decided to take a turn toward the left. So now the storm is paralleling the northern part of Sanibel. It's a beam of Blind Pass right now, getting ready to move alongside Captiva Island, and from there the upper Barrier Islands, Upper Captiva and Cayo Costa.
So around the storm, we know 145-mile-per-hour winds are associated with the eye and the group around that storm of about 30 miles per hour. Do you think that means now that we're going to see that those major winds, Cat 4 winds, stay just offshore? Hard to say.
It's hard to say. This turn of event was unforeseen about 20 minutes ago. What we're looking at right now, but a turn toward the north now clearly brings Charlotte County under the gun, and perhaps even Sarasota County. Lying in the path is a threat to Placida, Boca Grande, Rotunda, the Englewood area, and depending on the future turn of events, portions of Charlotte Harbor, the interior of Charlotte County.
pretty amazing, really. Again, storm surge, folks, we're warning everyone to stay indoors, hunker down. This is the time to do that. We are looking live now outside of our studios at NBC2 out on one of the side streets just parallel to Winkler and Fowler. We are looking at about 45 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts here in Fort Myers. We have reports of lots of trees that are going to look at that light's beginning to move pretty noticeably there. Trees going down, some leaves and limbs, of course, are being ripped off. This is tropical storm force winds here in central Fort Myers, but just 20 miles away on Sanibel and Captiva, our Doppler radar indicates that we are seeing winds in excess of 100 to 140 miles an hour associated with this Category 4 storm. I'll put this into motion again, and you'll also see this apparent, as you say, Jim, bounce off and a little bit more of a jog to the north. Now, this just makes the job a little more difficult now. What's going to happen here in the next hour with this storm moving off in this direction?
Okay, now that it appears that the lower part of Sanibel Island has missed a direct hit, now we need to be talking to you folks in Boca Grande, in Placida, in Rotunda, and up the line eventually in Englewood, because the same precautions, the same warnings that we gave you on Sanibel, Pine Island, and Cape Coral now need to be urgently heeded across the Cape Hayes Peninsula at the present time. Here's another perspective of the storm. If we have the storm tracker projecting a movement toward the northeast, and we're not quite sure if it is indeed moving toward the northeast. It could be moving toward the north right now. Max Mayfield may be tearing out what little hair he has left at this point over at the National Hurricane Center.
Captiva, Matlacha, Boca Grande, Boquilla, we're anticipating this storm to be in your vicinity, as you see on the screen there, within the next few minutes. The eye of the storm is now just about 5 to 10 miles offshore of Sanibel. Now, that's the eye of the storm, the outer eye wall. Here we are back at Fort Myers Beach. Wow, this is pretty incredible. The power's out in many places on Fort Myers Beach, according to our crew there. You can barely see out the window, but that obviously is looking out toward the Gulf. Our crew is in the Gull Wing Resort up around, I believe, on the 3rd or the 5th floor. In any case, well away from the potential storm surge, which we do anticipate the water to be coming back up toward and on the beach. Again, back to our live radar, the eye of Hurricane Charley now apparently glancing off Sanibel and continuing now parallel to Captiva, headed toward, well, what looks like Cayo Costa and Gasparilla.
Making its way up the coastline at the present time. There's a closer look. What seemed to be a simple, though devastating, landfall on Sanibel, Cape Coral, and Pine Island has now become a very difficult and tricky forecast. The storm turning north toward Charlotte County at the present time. In its path, the upper end of the Lee County coastline and, of course, the Cape Hayes Peninsula. More pictures of our parking lot between Fowler and Central Avenue in downtown Fort Myers. We still are in good shape over here right now. We're getting numerous reports into our ABC7 and NBC2 studios of power outages, trees down, and I'm sure localized flooding as well.
Right. Again, power outages are being reported. We want to remind you that we will be simulcasting actually on some of our radio stations in the area. Gator Country 101.9, Groovin' Oldies 102.9. Again, you'll be able to hear us. Our coverage continues throughout the day. You can tune in if you lose your power. Let's take a look at some emergency hotline numbers. If you're in Collier County, the emergency number is on your screen, 774-8444. In Lee County, the emergency hotline number is 477-1900, and for you folks in Charlotte County, 505-4620. As you can imagine, the emergency offices are going to be very busy. Please only call if you have an actual emergency. Again, the storm is now glancing off to the north of Sanibel and Captiva. Actually, we'll do west of those islands and moving off to the north.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll
put this into. Let's do this into motion again. I want to see that again. Can we go back to the NBC computer real quick? Thank you very much. Again, Jim, the eye seems to be still well intact. It's out over the water, obviously. It's not losing any, apparently it's not losing any strength as it comes very close to our outer islands.
No, it isn't. And you can see, if you look at if you stop concentrating on the eye and just look at the broad picture of the storm, you can see the whole storm rotating, even the outer bands rotating. Okay.
Right.
Sean Brown, Fort Myers Beach. Oh, okay, we do have, okay, we don't have Sean Brown, but we have some that sound coming from Fort Myers Beach. Let's listen for a moment.
On the roof there at the Gullwing Resort. This picture is being taken live from the Gullwing Resort. A couple stories up. Our roof sensors indicate that we have a wind gust of 64 miles per hour. Jim, that's pretty impressive.
Yes, it is. Okay, more information from the First Alert Live weather link, the rain totals and the wind gusts that we're receiving here in Southwest Florida. Notice how the wind gusts have picked up also in Naples, as we mentioned earlier today when the storm came abeam and passed Naples. The wind shifted, coming around, now gusting 30, 40, 50, 63 miles an hour on the beach at Vanderbilt Inn in Naples.
That's right. Let's go take a look up in Charlotte County. I believe Todd Jerkowski's up there live. Do we have that picture from Charlotte County looking out toward the harbor? Jim, still not a bad view up there. We do have plenty of rain falling. Todd, I'm sure you've been watching and listening. We're really amazed by the progress of this hurricane. It looked like a direct hit on Sanibel, now glancing by Sanibel and headed up north toward you. What's it like up there?
Well, we are in, of course, right on Charlotte Harbor in downtown Punta Gorda. You are looking north across Charlotte Harbor at the 241 bridges. What we're seeing right now is the wind blowing from east to west. The water is actually going out of the harbor into the Gulf. We're seeing the winds and the rain and so on and so forth. The rain is considerably thicker now. I'm going to take a look in the camera now. You can see just how thick it is. You can't even make your vision all the way across the actual the bay here. I'm going to move the camera here just a little bit, and we've got these boats over here that certainly are just kind of tied down, and hopefully they will stay put. You can see that sailboat kind of swaying in the wind there. It's gotten conceivably or predictably worse here. This is the heaviest rain we've seen so far. What is interesting is at the hotel we're at, people about an hour ago when you guys made the determination that it was going to be a direct hit on Southwest Florida, it was a mass exodus out of this hotel. They went knocking on doors and people are gone, and you can see why, because we are starting to feel the effects of Hurricane Charley.
Todd, you're going to start seeing a rapid increase in wind in that area. I'm anticipating it'll come out of the southeast and really pick up in the next 45 minutes or so. Are you in a safe place there? Where's your location?
We are.
You said that and I didn't hear it.
We are in a safe place right now. We are right at a hotel. We've got good blockage from the wind. But if you look at the water right now, from your mouth to God's ears, look at the water and the waves that are moving along. We are seeing a huge swell of wind right now, or a gust of wind coming through right now. And the water is actually kind of skipping along. There are raindrops skipping along across the Gulf, across the harbor rather. And this is now certainly the strongest winds we have seen. We've been here now all morning and into the afternoon, and this is as bad as we've seen it so far.
And a reminder, Todd, we have received word from Wayne Saladay and Charlotte County Emergency Management that he is strongly advising all Charlotte County residents to stay where they are right now. Stay put. Don't try to get on the roads if you feel you're in danger. You're safer where you are, hunkering down, rather than trying to go someplace else.
That's right. It's the time to hunker down and not get in the car to try to outrun anything. Todd, we're looking at Doppler radar right now. It looks like the very next outer band is just crossing your area. The eye wall of the storm still is roughly, and I'm going to give you an exact figure here. It is about 28 miles to your southwest, so you're still not out of the woods yet, and the winds are going to pick up very dramatically over the next few minutes, so be prepared for that. Okay, we continue with our live coverage of Hurricane Charley. Category 4, 145-mile-an-hour hurricane. We're being told right now we have some information from Cape Coral. Nicole Ninsalata gives us a report from Cape Coral. Nicole, can you hear me? This is Jim Reef.
No, hey, it's Courtney. Jim, it's Courtney George. I'm out on North Penn Place and Del Prado in Cape Coral, and this has to be, I'd say, at least 70, if not more miles per hour. The winds out here are just absolutely incredible. There are people about to come up to the house right across the street from me. It feels like hail is coming down. They had pins and needles everywhere as this rain is just flooding this area. The Cape Coral Fire Department, number 5 Fire Department, right across from one of the shelters. Let me tell you, we've actually seen 2 or 3 cars trying to drive in this. And the fire department are telling Courtney. These people are just crazy. They're taking their lives into their own hands. This buzz right here, I'll let you actually listen to the wind.
Okay, Courtney. Courtney's George in Cape Coral right now. Clearly impressed with the effects of the hurricane over top of Cape Coral right now. Our First Alert Live weather link from Cape Coral City Hall. We're looking at it right now on the NBC side, showing east-southeasterly winds at 43 miles an hour, gusting to 59 as the storm is now moving toward the north and northwest up past Cape Coral at this hour.
These winds are only going to continue to get stronger as the storm continues to move off to the west of Cape Coral. The eye of the storm is still just south and west of the Cape, and it will continue to come out of the southeast. That's off the Caloosahatchee out from central Lee County out toward the Cape. And then in the next hour or so after that, the winds are going to come out from the opposite direction. We are looking at hurricane force winds as far inland as the western part of the Cape, then with gusts estimated to be up to over 74 miles per hour. Out our front door right now, obviously, some of the winds have been picking up, and we'll continue to see that. Jim, I would imagine that we're going to continue to see winds increase. When are we going to start to see that wind shift?
We're probably going to need to see that storm move a little bit further. And is it my imagination, or is that thing just sitting around there for taking its sweet old time right now?
It almost looks like it has slowed its forward speed.
Looks like it has slowed its forward speed. At the present time. Still trying to go toward the north. Now abeam Captiva Island, the strongest winds on the right side are affecting Captiva Island, maybe just offshore, the strongest core of the winds at the present time, but it does not look as though it's moving quite as quickly its forward speed as it was about a half hour ago. More pictures from Fort Myers Beach, where they are feeling tropical storm force winds and a very stinging, pelting rain coming in across Estero Island at the present time. A little bit of interference with our live picture can be expected because of the severe and unusual weather on our coastline. Again, downtown Fort Myers, Central Avenue, Fowler Street, we're right in between there. You can see it's very windy. It's good to see that our satellite dishes have survived so far out there, but we still have some wind and rain to deal with ourselves. Pictures now from Charlotte County, where Todd Drukowski is with his crew up on the banks of the Peace River. That's the 41 South end of the Peace River Bridge coming in across from Charlotte Harbor into Punta Gorda. And notice how the winds are blowing fairly strongly from right to left right now. And they're probably experiencing a lower than normal tide temporarily with the position of the storm along the Barrier Islands. Okay, we have some new video around Fort Myers. These pictures taken within the hour, showing first pictures of a little bit of damage. This looks like it's right on US 41 near Boy Scout Road, and you can see the wind blowing some of the car dealerships over there right now. Fowler Street, pretty much a ghost town, as you might expect. Some tree limbs down, and another perspective of the storm. And will you look at that? Sitting right,
look at that turn.
Just made an incredible turn along the Barrier Islands, at first heading smack for Sanibel Island, then making a left turn, and now at a slower forward speed making its way up along Captiva toward the mouth of Charlotte Harbor and eventually Boca Grande. Also in its path could be places like Englewood, Placida, Rotunda, and the rest of the Cape Hayes Peninsula. More live pictures as we show you and take you on the tour of the live pictures we're able to provide around Southwest Florida.
Let's go back to the NBC radar again. In Collier County, it appears that the storm is now putting on another punch out of the opposite direction here for you folks in Collier. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Some very strong rain and thunderstorms moving in into Naples. As you see the last few minutes of rain information there. These are also going to be bringing on some onshore winds, and now I'm anticipating, of course, we'll have the rising tide situation in Naples. On to our First Alert Live WeatherLink site. We've got a place on Vanderbilt Beach at the Vanderbilt Inn. We talk to you about this, year round, and it's a wonderful spot with our camera and the hotels down in that area. Look at the weather.
66-mile-an-hour wind gust right now. So this is coming with the rain squall
and the wind shift too out of the southwest.
Yeah. Well, you look at that now. We're getting more pictures from Fort Myers Beach, and what happened to that big wide beach we saw about a half hour ago?
There you go. There's the water coming back.
There's the water coming back. There's your storm surge occurring. You're looking live at a storm surge from our cameras at the Gold Wing Resort on Fort Myers Beach.
Let's stay with this shot as long as we can, Jamie. Do you mind? This is a very dramatic video, and it's just so telling of what we've been telling you about this afternoon. The beach just a few minutes ago went out several hundred feet, and now with the return wind flow, we are seeing the water come back up in earnest. This is storm surge. This is high tide gone crazy. Again, the winds at the Gold Wing Resort are gusting now to 64 miles per hour. We are still seeing the surface winds generally come out of the south and continue on. We may have an anemometer problem there if it's stuck like that. Anyway, we do see from our visual there that the winds have shifted around, or at least the tides have shifted around to be more onshore. Our automated gauge on the roof there is having a little problem with the anemometer. Again, the last recorded wind gust was at 64 miles per hour at Fort Myers Beach. We've had over 50 to 60 mile per hour winds further down the coast in Naples. And the Naples site, by the way, also reported 4.38 inches of rain so far. The rain is going to continue to fall. We will have some flooding issues to deal with this afternoon with some very heavy rains. And a reminder, inland thunderstorms will be producing some brief tornadoes.
Okay, let's turn our attention to the city of Naples, because we need to talk to you folks for a quick minute or two. Let's go to the Doppler radar scope on the NBC side, because it looks like one of the spiral bands is coming into Collier County, into Naples, into North Naples, and perhaps toward Bonita Beach. Now remember, there's an awful lot of wind energy just off the ground, and when it rains hard, when it rains real hard, that wind energy comes down to the ground. So things may be going sideways in Naples over the next few minutes. Those are pictures from Southwest Florida International Airport at our private sky facility, the Aviation Center.
Right. You can see the stop sign in the center of your screen there. We have reports of winds in excess of 50 miles per hour down in Naples, as Jim was just mentioning, and obviously at the airport we're seeing wind gusts of 40 to 50 miles per hour there. Now let's check back in toward Cape Coral with Nicole. Nicole, what are you seeing there? Nicole, can you hear me? This is Robert from NBC2. Okay, that's all right. Again, a live picture now from our NBC2 view at Private Sky Aviation at the airport. Now we're back to Fort Myers Beach. Oh, wow, look at that. There you see the storm surge. What is that? That must be a beach chair. It's some sort of chair floating around. Yeah. The storm surge returning very quickly onto Fort Myers Beach. Again, we were anticipating this, and now you can see it happening live on your screen. The return of onshore winds, anywhere from 50 to 60 miles per hour in Fort Myers Beach, now bringing a wall of water onto the beach.
As we were speculating, Robert, the worst conditions actually trailing the storm rather than in advance of the storm. Once it goes by, the winds turn around, and that's when the storm surge is happening. More pictures from RSW, Southwest Florida International Airport, where not a creature is stirring and not a plane is flying at the present time. Flights are shut down. Look, those are absolutely incredible pictures where we saw hundreds of yards of dry beach just a half hour ago. The winds have turned, the storm surge has come in, and we're getting a lesson in tropical meteorology firsthand and personal right here.
Absolutely amazing. The storm continues to move to the north. It is now located just west of Captiva Island. We are still tracking a Category 4 hurricane for the first time in history in this area. Tornado warnings now are beginning to come in Collier County. We showed you that band of very heavy precipitation moving toward Naples. Warnings are now being issued for Collier County for tornadic activity. Take cover in Collier immediately. DeSoto County also has had some ongoing problems with tornadic activity up near Arcadia. The action in DeSoto is moving from southeast to northwest. The action in Naples is coming in right off the Gulf of Mexico. Again, a tornado warning in the Naples area. Inland areas. Now, we're not, you folks are under the gun as well from central Collier County through Hendry and Glades. All those thunderstorms, every one of them has a potential to produce a tornado, and we are getting numerous reports now of some tornadic activity. Back to Fort Myers Beach now. You can see the pier running out there, the dock, that is. Jim, that's a pretty, really, not more than an hour ago, we had 200 yards of beach out there visible.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
And again, the intense bands surrounding the center of the storm, the outer bands bringing 60 and 70-mile-an-hour gusts, and large areas of southwest Florida likely losing power, their cable TV, and quite possibly their phone service as well, as this storm just is pummeling Collier, Lee, and Charlotte County. And it's becoming apparent, Robert, as we look at the Doppler radar display, that the storm is slowing and not moving nearly at the forward speed that we saw. They are taking a punishing blow right now on Captiva Island. Very serious situation on the northern end of the Barrier Islands. Pine Island as well, there's a storm surge in progress there, and I'm sure they're taking a beating on Port Poco Grande.
Absolutely. Again, the winds right around here. I'm going to draw the circle around the eye of the storm. We're anticipating and saying the winds right around that are at 100 to 145 miles per hour. Now let's go back to Nicole in Cape Coral. Nicole, we've been trying to reach you. What's going on there?
I know, it's very difficult to get a signal out. Right now, I am at Diplomat Parkway, right across from Diplomat Middle School, at Cape Coral Fire Station number 5. Right now, I am outside. I am against the building, and I am seeing power poles moving. I am seeing trees shaking. I'm seeing at least one light post moving. The last few minutes, we saw several people trying to run inside the middle school at the very last minute. There were police officers out there trying desperately to keep people inside. Some people trying to run back outside to get things from their car. They were certainly fighting against that. We have watched a piece of a roof near home kind of shake a little bit. It hasn't come off yet, but I would be really surprised if it didn't at this point. I'm going to be quiet for a second so you can hear the wind.
Nicole?
Okay.
Nicole, can you still hear? Oh, there she is. There she is. Nicole, we have a site here that we're seeing. You have had a wind gust on Cape Coral of over 78 miles per hour. How does that feel?
Well, I would say that sounds about right, because you can just barely stand up around 75 or so, I think. So at certain points, it really comes close to knocking you down. But at the moment, depending on when you choose to actually try to stand up, yeah, it does feel like it's about to knock you down. The hardest thing, though, is to look at, depending on which angle you happen to be looking, that rain will just hit you in the side of the face, and it feels like gravel hitting you. The rain is really coming down. The wind, as you can tell, is blowing extremely hard. And it comes in waves. For a moment, it'll seem to die down is probably not the right term, but it will be stronger in specific gusts. That's for sure. You can hear it right now. I'm having to be really careful staying against this building. I tried to walk around before, and it was very tough, depending on what angle you're at.
Okay. Nicole, any sign of, this is Jim Reef, any sign of damage where you are in that part of the Cape?
Let me, whoa. I just got a good blast in the face. I'm starting to see, I'm stepping away from the building a little bit. I don't know how well you can hear me. Not quite yet, but I'm seeing, like I said, a few power poles that look like that they're not tremendously stable. We are actually right next to a large field, so there's a big gust of wind coming from there. We have a neighborhood surrounding us. No, not any damage as of yet.
Okay, and Nicole, did you say you were at a shelter on the Cape? Where are you located exactly again?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Where are you on the Cape again?
We are right across from Diplomat Middle School at Cape Coral Fire Station number 5, which is directly across. And that particular shelter is absolutely packed.
I was going to ask, that was my next question. A lot of people are hunkered down in that shelter. What's the mood? What's going on there?
What we could tell were people were starting to get, it seemed a little bit panicked. It sounded like, from the folks we talked to, for many of them it was a last-minute decision to show up. Many of them were bringing pets. Some of the police officers were a bit frustrated by that. As I mentioned, many people were running back to their cars to grab some last-minute items to take into the shelter. For many people, it seemed like it was just a last-minute decision. It didn't seem like many people really expected this to become a Category 4 and just decided to head out to the nearest shelter.
Well, Nicole, we're sitting here looking at the radar imagery right now, and up towards Charlotte Harbor as well. The storm was bearing down on Sanibel as a Category 4, and at the last minute, it's made an unexpected, well, the whole morning's been unexpected, but another unexpected turn off to the north. Now appears to be paralleling Captiva, so Cape Coral's not out of the woods yet.
Well, it certainly doesn't seem like that. It's been pretty steady for at least the last several minutes, and right there we just got, I think you can hear it, we just got a really good gust, and right where I'm standing, I'm having a really hard time standing up. There was a really good blast right there.
Okay.
I would be surprised if we don't see some damage at least in the next few minutes.
Look at the water here.
Right now, it's hard
Nicole,
to say.
Nicole,
thank you.
We'll be back to you shortly. We're looking at live pictures from Fort Myers Beach, and the water continues to rise on Estero Island as the storm surge is in progress. Now, an interesting observation on the Doppler radar scope right now, because the storm has slowed its forward motion, now we're getting duration of these winds, and that is forcing and increasing a longer duration storm surge. A storm was moving 22 miles an hour just about an hour ago, now seems to be putting on the brakes, and because it's slowing down off of Captiva Island, we're getting a long duration where the winds are blowing in excess of hurricane force. That's piling the water on to Fort Myers Beach, and we may continue to see a water rise until that storm finally moves a little bit further. Robert, put that in motion one more time. There may have been a little short-term wobble, probably not. It looked like for a time there may be a wobble toward the east, but clearly this is slowing down. And it's also very apparent too, Robert, this is not weakening.
No, absolutely not. And I was just going to say, it looked to me like the forward part of the eye wall might even be expanding a little bit and moving into, that's Cayo Costa right there, yes, and Gasparilla Island, Boca Grande. This is incredible. You're seeing some incredible live pictures now from Fort Myers Beach, and the return off the bottom side of Hurricane Charley as it works its way up to the north. This is what an onshore flow and storm surge at high tide does. The water has just been pouring onto the beach.
Yes, as we speak, the thing to remember is storm surge is a function not only of wind speed but wind duration. A short time period where the winds would be blowing from the southwest would produce a storm surge. A longer period just magnifies it. And our concern right now, based on what we're seeing on the position of the storm, we're getting some fairly serious backing up into the Caloosahatchee River right now.
Go back to the NBC radar, if you will, and as you see the last couple of frames there, you can see that the storm really does appear to be slowing a little bit and bringing on those onshore winds, Fort Myers Beach and down to Estero, all the way down to Naples as well. Again, we've just been amazed by this over the last hour. The track of the storm has continued to curve away from Sanibel and now paralleling the island of Captiva and Cayo Costa.
It's 3:27 coming up on 3:30 in the afternoon here in Southwest Florida, and it was almost 3 o'clock when the storm just reached the south central portion of Sanibel. Here we are a half hour later.
Still watching it.
We've ridden bicycles faster from one end of Sanibel to the other.
Yes, we have. Great. Okay. We've got Max Mayfield now at the Hurricane Center.
Max, welcome to our adventure here in Southwest Florida. This is Jim Reef. Tell us what you're seeing right now and what you're hearing from the aircraft.
Jim, this is the nightmare scenario that you and I have been talking about for years and years. This has strengthened very rapidly this afternoon as a Category 4 hurricane as it makes landfall. You guys are really going to get clobbered over there with the storm surge flooding. And not just on those barrier islands, but up into Charlotte Harbor and up into the rivers.
Max, we've been watching the storm surge increase on Fort Myers Beach just in the last 30 minutes. What is your anticipation of the height of the storm surge?
Well, we really think it's going to be 10 to 15 feet near and to the south of where the center crosses the coast. Now, it looks like it's going a little bit to the left of the track here, so I think they're really going to get that water up into the Charlotte Harbor area, and we want to be very clear that even though they're getting water now, they're going to get even higher water on the backside. When those winds come on shore on the south side of the eye, that's going to put additional water up into the harbor.
Absolutely.
Max, we've noticed a dramatic decrease in the forward speed of this hurricane, which is now increasing the duration of the hurricane force winds underneath the storm. We've seen Fort Myers Beach go from a negative surge to definitely a severe storm surge in the last 30 to 45 minutes. You're concerned also probably for the lower part of the Caloosahatchee River as well.
The Caloosahatchee River and the Peace River, I think, with the center easing up here, you know, it's been wobbling a little to the right, now it's wobbling a little bit to the left. I think we're going to get water go up into Charlotte Harbor as well. And you know, in Gabriel in 2001, they had about 5 feet of storm surge all the way up there in the Peace River. They'll have more than that with Charley.
Max, is the storm maintaining its strength as best you can tell?
Well, I think it is. As soon as the eye gets inland, those really strong winds are going to come down very, very quickly. But I don't want to minimize that by any means there, because they're still going to have a swath of hurricane force winds really extend all the way across the peninsula. And we're likely to head up, you know, over Orlando and Daytona Beach.
Well, speaking of when it goes inland, Max, this is Robert Van Winkle, NBC2. We were watching it, Jim Reef and I, as it was bearing down on Sanibel, and then literally at the last minute seemed to take a jog to the north. Do you anticipate this northerly track and then possibly going back over toward the northeast again? What's your take on this erratic movement?
Well, that doesn't surprise me a bit. In fact, I wrote a paper on that a number of years ago. It'll wobble a little to the right, a little bit to the left, but the main thing that Fort Myers, Charlotte Harbor area in particular, Boca Grande, Punta Gorda, they're really going to see the impact of this hurricane.
Max, let's take you back a little bit through history. I think we've certainly surpassed Hurricane Donna. Has there been a stronger storm in modern times that has ever affected the southwest Florida coast?
No, and as you and I have talked for a long, long time, you've got so many people that are living, you know, there in your area. It's a beautiful way of life, but occasionally you have a hurricane, and this is a hurricane similar to Hurricane Donna, probably not as large as Donna was, but you're going to have extreme damage, I would expect, due to this hurricane.
I think our strongest hurricane of record, if I recall, was the Punta Rassa hurricane of 1873. I think that's the highest storm surge of record on southwest Florida, which very well may be exceeded today.
That is correct, Jim.
Max, I noticed behind you, you have a potential track of the storm up through Florida. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're anticipating when the storm goes inland and what's to be anticipated for folks there?
Sure. We really want to emphasize to people inland. I mean, the number one concern right now, of course, is that storm surge flooding. But a hurricane is not just the coastal event. Those strong winds are indeed going to spread all the way across the peninsula. And the lesson learned in Isabel last year was, you know, we had lots of trees down and power outages, even in areas outside of hurricane conditions. So I would expect some pretty massive damage here, certainly power outages over much of the peninsula.
We've already had reports of tornadoes in DeSoto County, Doppler indicated tornadoes there. As the afternoon progresses, that should just spread inland, right?
Right. This one certainly does have a chance of more than the usual tornadoes. With these rain bands coming across, we're going to have to continue to watch that as it moves up the state.
Max, I recall at the National Hurricane Conference we were at in New Orleans sharing some of the experiences from the Carolina coastline with Isabel, where there were instances of breaches of the barrier islands. I would imagine the same thing could be happening here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I think so too, Jim. Yeah, I sure do, and I just hope people have gotten to higher ground.
Okay, Max Mayfield, Director of the National Hurricane Center.
Thank you, Jim.
Appreciate your time here, and
thank you, Max.
Sharing some time with us concerning the unusual, wild, and as Max put it, the worst case scenario for a storm, a worse hit than Hurricane Donna, and as best we could tell, the worst hurricane hit in modern history here in Southwest Florida.
So now we move on from what we were doing an hour ago go to Sanibel to now focusing our attention up towards Charlotte Harbor and the Peace River, anticipating that eventually this storm should wobble its way inland. And as you saw from Max Mayfield's graphic, somewhere up the Charlotte Harbor area.
There are three places for this thing to go: north-northwest up the coast, north over top of the Cape Hayes Peninsula, or northeast and east into Charlotte Harbor. And it's becoming apparent over the past 15 or 20 minutes that this storm is slowing down to a crawl at the present time and just wobbling. It seems to have lost its sense of steering for the moment.
And from the radar, this is losing absolutely no intensity. This storm is still a strong Category 4 storm that we can see max winds of 145 miles per hour wrapped around the eye. And as we can also see from our display, there you see a live picture from the Southwest Florida Regional Airport. That's just getting worse and worse by the minute. We were able to see that stop sign earlier, and now that's virtually disappearing with the driven rain. Right now, let's check in with meteorologist Ryan Phillips outside. Ryan,
hey
what's it like out there?
Well, this is just impromptu. We got 4 guys out here. We just thought we would grab a camera and grab a mic, and as long as Todd feels comfortable, we'll step out here. Just in the course of the last 5 minutes while you were talking to Max, getting a lot of strong winds moving in. Keep in mind, while we have strong winds here at the surface, they're even stronger just 100 or 150 feet up. We're watching the, watching the tower, and we're trying to make sure that everything is secured there. But just keep in mind, there's a little bit of friction down here at the surface, and again, as you go a little bit higher up, we're finding much stronger winds. Also, a little influence of the building here, we're kind of at a right angle, so you get kind of a false vortex of the wind moving in here. But the palm trees out here just outside the studio swaying in the breeze, and we've only lost 1 ditch, so we're looking pretty good there. We do have 1 tree noticeable just about 30 to 40 yards behind me that has just clearly snapped right off, and the debris falling down into to our yard of dishes here. An auto lot just across the way here looking pretty good, and most of the equipment here at the property looking pretty good. We got some concrete tables out here. They're doing just fine, but nonetheless, the rain stinging, driving, very solid rain. One more look up to the tower, looking pretty good. Obviously the Doppler still spinning up there. So we're doing okay. We're still on the air, and boy, it's just very windy out here, obviously, guys. So, okay, here we go with some more wind. So let's go ahead and send it back inside. Jim, Robert?
Okay.
Thank you, Ryan. You know, it's hard to believe you're only about 20 feet away from us. We're standing here in the studio. Again, Category 4 Hurricane Charley. Now we're storm tracking it for you. Continues to wobble around just off the coast of Captiva, making a beeline towards Sanibel. It turned to the north just about a half an hour ago. Maximum sustained winds around there still at 145 miles per hour. Now Bokeelia, Gasparilla, Boca Grande under the gun, and I believe we can go to Todd Jerkowski here pretty soon, who has been standing by in Punta Gorda, right on the water there at Charlotte Harbor. Todd, it's getting a little worse, right?
Yeah, considerably. Every time we've checked in with you, the winds have gotten worse and worse. We've been using a wind gauge. We're blocked by the wind, and we're seeing gusts, you know, here 20 to 25 miles an hour. But if you look out into Charlotte Harbor, you really get an idea of the kind of wind and the kind of waves and rain that's being generated now this far up into Charlotte County. The boats are rocking considerably. I want to bring you around this way if I can, Brian. All the way around now, you're looking at the southbound end of you at the 41 bridge here, and you can see those trees blowing. They were blowing steadily east the last time we checked in with you. We're now seeing a little bit more of a jut to the northeast. I would assume, I'm not a meteorologist, but that means that the winds, the cycle of the winds are coming around here. We're getting a lot more rain, a lot more wind. All I could think about is when we were doing storm preps a couple days ago, Wayne Saladay from Charlotte County Emergency Management said one thing: if anyone still thinks that a hurricane cannot strike Southwest Florida, Hurricane Charley is going to make a believer out of them. People in Charlotte County are seeing it here. We want to go live now to David Sutta on Fort Myers Beach with another perspective. David?
Folks, we've been out here all day. As you know, it's really hard right now. Go ahead and take a look out there. This beach was 275 yards all the way to the ocean. As you can see now, there's a river of water goes out over Estero Boulevard and is heading towards the back bay. That's how far it goes back. If you want to know how deep it is, look at that. I'll go ahead and zoom in on the door there. You can see it's almost 2 feet high. I would say about 2 feet high right now, and it continues to come in very, very strong. The winds are kicking up pretty intense out here. We were down earlier in Times Square before this really kicked up. These people on the pier walking around looking for a thrill. I cannot believe and they plan to stay out there until this is all over. We also met up with another couple that got home from the Bahamas yesterday and were walking on Fort Myers, taking in the sights. It's totally unbelievable out here. But I'll tell you, it is here. The water is just absolutely amazing. It's coming over everything. See, the waves continue to crash over here. Some of the markers we were pointing out earlier have totally disappeared. They're totally under the water. Absolutely amazing. We'll continue to get these pictures to you. That's the very latest I hear. I'm David Soto. We're live on Fort Myers Beach. We got Al Fifield here doing a fantastic job, folks. We'll continue to provide these pictures for you throughout the day.
David, thank you very much. The elevation in Fort Myers Beach, virtually right where David is about 5 feet. Obviously, now we have 2 feet over that he's estimating from his vantage point there, and that is right in line with what a Category 2 would do. So we could anticipate certainly more storm surge headed that way, since we're dealing with a Category 4 storm right now. And Jim, we're dealing with one that appears to be maybe sitting there a little bit, sort of taking its time and putting some onshore winds more on the Fort Myers Beach.
This thing is doing more than taking its time. It is pretty much ground to a halt. It is just inching along at the present time. Our concern is that the powerful hurricane force winds underneath the storm, just minute after minute, continuing to pile water in through the mouth of the Caloosahatchee River, up toward Cape Coral, up through Pine Island Sound, up through the Caloosahatchee River, and it is relentless, we fear. The water is probably continuing to rise on the South Cape at the present time, and there are probably a number of streets and perhaps a number of homes that have water on the property right now. We just saw an ambulance crossing the Peace River Bridge in Charlotte Harbor at the present time.
This is much worse than it was just even 15-20 minutes ago. As we've been telling you, when the winds set in, as Charlie gets closer, it's going to change dramatically and quickly, and you're seeing it now live on television.
Okay, my big concern right now is the piling up of the water, because the storm is not moving away.
Let's take a look at the radar. We can talk about that a little bit more. Can you put the NBC radar up for us, please? Thank you. Let's do the NBC one. There you go.
The water now has been piling, and I'm repeating myself, I apologize. The water has been piling into Pine Island Sound, through Punta Rassa, into the Caloosahatchee River for the better part of an hour. And that same trajectory underneath the storm, we've been talking about this all day long, is also causing the tidal surge to increase further down the line, even though you would think that places like Bonita Beach, Naples, and Marco Island would be getting worse conditions. By virtue of the fact that the storm has stopped moving, it's just piling the water on. There is just continuing a water rise, as you can see.
Yeah, Jim, look at the last 2 frames here. It's obviously now made a move back over toward the north and the east. It looks like the eye of Hurricane Charley is now crossing northern Captiva Island and Cayo Costa.
Okay, we can see that.
I can clearly see that.
Okay, and it looks like it's going to be a terrible hit in the next 5 minutes for Bokeelia up on the north end of Pine Island.
I apologize. Let me get that
at the present time. Again, the storm is still very circular in appearance on the Doppler radar view right now, and as you can see Bokeelia on the right side of the storm. So now we have the Gulf of Mexico and the water piling through the passes there, going into the Pine Island Sound and going in toward Bokeelia. Now, next up, as you go up the line past Bokeelia, is Burnt Store Marina. Now, if you look right on the Lee and Charlotte County line, right where Charlotte Harbor is, where you put that cursor right there, that's the Charlotte-Lee County line. Burnt Store Marina is right there, and now they're under the gun. We cannot emphasize enough that with this turn in the course, and now, Robert, you're absolutely right. Yeah. This thing has started to move more toward the northeast. Absolutely. Bokeelia getting it now. Burnt Store getting it next, and if this continues its current track, it could be tracking toward Punta Gorda Isles, the south end of PGI, and toward the city of Punta Gorda.
All right, let's do a little mileage thing here. I'm going to put my cursor on Punta Gorda, zeroing it out and moving toward the outer edge, which is now over Bokeelia. Punta Gorda residents, downtown, it's 15 miles away. Todd Jurkowski, you are 15 miles away from the advance of this storm, and we're seeing on radar now that it has finally taken another jog back over toward the northeast. northeast. The storm is moving northeast now at about 20 miles per hour. That puts it over Punta Gorda in just about 45 minutes to an hour.
The eye of the storm right now, if you look real close, sitting right over the north end of North Captiva. If you're familiar with the North Captiva area, there's a grass airport strip on the end of North Captiva.
I've seen
that's right. A couple infamous restaurants sitting on the north end of North Captiva as well.
Beautiful little Yusepa Island. Yusepa Island is right about there, right there. Yusepa Island looks like it's getting a direct hit. It's rolling right over Yusepa and these wonderful little islands right here. Let's go ahead and take a look at some video we have.
We got some video we want to show you right now coming from Fort Myers Beach. Let's see if we can see this right now. And again, the storm has not moved far enough away to end the piling of the water up. The storm surge continues. The water continues to rise on Fort Myers Beach. These are pictures coming to us from the Gull Wind Resort on Fort Myers Beach, and you can see through the interference the wind, the water, the storm surge that continues relentlessly. Look at the wind-whipped water. I don't know if we can get the first alert live weather link up from the Gull Wing Resort.
Oh, here we go. Take a look at the AWS. Can we put AWS up real quick?
Okay, before we change, let's go to first alert live weather link, and we want to show you new information from Cape Coral City Hall, where we're getting wind gusts now reaching 90 miles an hour. That is hurricane force wind gusts over North Cape Coral at the present time, off of Vincennes Parkway, if you're familiar with the North Cape. We'll go back and take a look at some more live pictures from Fort Myers Beach if we still have them. Okay, this is the airport RSW.
Visibility's noticeably dropped there. You can really tell. We were looking at a stop sign that we can't even see right now. Let's see if we can see that door that David Sutter was talking about in the building opposite. It was about a 2 foot up on the door, and let's see if we can just sort of get any idea of how quickly the water's rising. Again, obviously, Jim, the water's in the first floor of every hotel on Fort Myers Beach, right on the water there. It's obvious that storm surge is affecting everybody on the beach.
No question about it. And it's not just Fort Myers Beach. We're seeing the pictures here right now.
We have a camera there.
But it's a very critical situation. Places like St. James City have been under the gun with this storm surge. The south end of Cape Coral has been feeling this storm surge. Visibility going down again. More live pictures from our RSW camera, Southwest Florida International Airport.
We have a wind gust now of 76 miles per hour in Fort Myers. Winds right here at NBC2 are now gusting to 76 miles per hour. And you see our direction is still south-southeast at 36 miles per hour. Let's check back in to Charlotte County, see if our picture, boy, this is really rapidly deteriorating in Charlotte Harbor. You can see the spray pretty much. You know, in my Navy days, I remember being in the open waters when the wind would be driven on water like that. You could see the water being ripped off the top. Todd, what's it like now? How's it doing?
That's exactly right. The wind is picking up. It gets stronger and stronger and stronger every single time. This is certainly the most action we're seeing as far as the water is concerned, with the whitecaps and the thick water and the thick waves and so on and so forth. I've been monitoring the water levels here. We're not seeing any type of a surge. Actually, water is being pushed out of the harbor at this point, but the rain is as strong as it's been and the wind is as strong as it's been here. We actually heard a very large boom, an explosion or a transformer blowing, something like that, on the other side of the harbor. I can't tell you what it is, quite frankly, because we can't see on the other side of the harbor, which was not the case about an hour ago. But we're just hunkering down here. Believe me, we're safe. That's not a concern for us. We're waiting for the storm surge to hit, but we're not seeing that now. We're just getting a lot of wind, a lot of rain. Back to you guys.
Okay, thanks a lot, Todd. And again, we can't stress enough that this is a very serious concern right now. The piling up of the water, Fort Myers Beach, the south end of Cape Coral, Pine Island, and we know that it's very, very bad also down the line, Bonita Beach, Naples, Marco Island. Even though you're further from the center of circulation, you're getting a relentless flow of wind off of the Gulf of Mexico to near hurricane force, and that's causing a severe storm surge in Naples and Marco Island as well. So Collier County escaping the brunt of the storm, but it's still very, very bad in Collier at this time.
This is our live camera again at Southwest Florida International Airport. We're actually steering it around. It's facing off to the northwest now and moving it back around. We should see coming into view here the airplanes, or at least the tarmac and some of the airport. But again, the rain is falling viciously at the airport. There we go. There's the fence. There are some of the jetways, and obviously I don't see any planes there in the distance, but wow, what an amazing sight there. Live images of Southwest Florida International Airport and the weather conditions there. Lee County Emergency Office wants you to know that they are taking 911 calls. 911 calls in Lee County are being accepted, but they are prioritizing them. And so if you call 911 in Lee County, look at the balcony. Look at the balcony there, Jim. Yeah, it looks like a window's broken right there. Yeah. I think I can see a window broken and some curtains coming out. It looks like we got some broken windows on the hotel, or at least the building next to it there. This is live from Fort Myers Beach. We've been watching the storm surge come over Fort Myers Beach. We want to emphasize also the storm surge is not just here, up and down the coast. We have reports of lots of surge all the way from Naples. And now we know that the eye of the hurricane is crossing over northern Pine Island.
Absolutely. Let's go back and take another look at the Doppler radar scope and see where we are as far as the eye of the storm. What concerns me is we still have a very circular eye wall and a very distinct eye that's present on the Doppler radar scope. That's telling me that the storm still is maintaining an awful lot of its power. We need to get this storm inland to begin a weakening trend at the present time. Let's go and take another perspective of that storm. There you go. It took a little jog in, and then it kind of stopped, and Robin, I'm just wondering if we stop getting data from the Key West
I think this looks a little suspect here. I tell you what I'm going to do is if we have that shot from Fort Myers Beach, I'm going to switch radars. Let me do that off camera and go back to Fort Myers Beach or another live camera, and let me see if I've got a different perspective here.
Okay, more pictures from Fort Myers Beach. Fort Myers Beach, about 20 miles from ground zero of the storm, and there we're looking at the First Alert Power Doppler radar. I forget which station I'm on right now.
This is us. You're looking now at First Alert Power Doppler radar from NBC2 and ABC7. The eye of the hurricane now, this is northern Pine Island right here. The storm moving just over, well, the outer edge right over Bokeelia at the present time.
That's correct. That's correct. And it's we are starting to see a little more of a northeastward movement right now.
And now look at this, Jim. Look at the intense rain falling in Fort Myers right now as the band continues to wrap around. If you're in Punta Gorda, we are anticipating that this storm is going to be in your vicinity, if not over top of you, within the next 45 minutes.
Okay, we're seeing a definite turn in the wind toward the northeast.
This is going right up Charlotte Harbor.
This is going right up Charlotte Harbor. The eye of the storm is just about over top of Bokeelia right now, heading in the general direction of Burnt Store Marina, that lovely resort that sits on Charlotte Harbor right at the Lee and Charlotte County line.
Let's go take a look outside now from our live video. We have various sources throughout Southwest Florida. Right now we are looking outside of NBC2 studios. The winds have picked up dramatically in the last 30 minutes. Lots of downed trees and limbs in the area. Again, this is visibility being reduced with the wow, here we are at Fort Myers Beach. There's somebody down there walking around underneath that balcony on the first floor. We're at the Gull Wing Resort up on the second or third floor looking down at the storm surge. And by the way, now I can clearly see on the side of the building there, this has come up about a foot in the last, I'm guessing, 20 minutes or so. Not Todd, but David Sutta was there. The water was about 2 feet up the door, and now it's just up to that window ledge I see there in the distance. So that is definitely rising storm surge right there. That's Fort Myers Beach. What else do we have? Live pictures. Do we have Charlotte County? You can clearly see the water also, Jim, running in from the Gulf of Mexico right in towards central Fort Myers Beach. Let's check in now with what's going on in Collier County. Again, some very nasty weather in the Naples area. Our reporter is Patrick Taney. Patrick?
We're here right now on Vanderbilt Beach in North Naples. As you can tell, the wind really pounding this area. The sand is actually hurting my face right now because the wind is that strong. A lot of rain. The big concern here in North Naples, of course, is the storm surge. As this wind continues to pick up here, continues to move strong, it's going to move some of that water into the canals in Naples Park and start some major flooding there. I want to go ahead and pan over to the beach here. The beach is literally just about 10 feet ahead, but you can't even see that far. That's how treacherous things are getting here right now. The beach almost non-existent here. That's the very latest here in Collier County. Just wanted to give you a look of how things are here, and as you can tell, the wind very strong. Back to you guys in the studio.
That was Patrick Taney reporting from Collier County. That video shot just a few minutes ago in the Naples area. Onshore winds are going to continue. We've had wind gusts over 80 miles per hour. Vanderbilt Beach, stay under cover. All of Collier County. This isn't over yet. Jim?
No. Let's talk a little bit about what we continue to see on the Doppler radar scope right now. The Doppler radar showing us that the center of circulation now is moving into Charlotte Harbor. The top end of Pine Island, seeing the eye of the storm at the present time. This motion, if it continues, means it's going to be a punishing blow for Burnt Store Marina on the Lee-Charlotte County line. And if it continues in this general direction, it could go right into the heart of Charlotte County, right into Punta Gorda. Downtown Punta Gorda is an exceptionally